Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Katie Weaver Show. This is Katie. I'm your host. I am so happy to be here. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Tuesday. It is the 26th of I almost said July. Where am I? Of January at about 11 a.m. Pacific time. And I want to welcome you. If you are listening to an archive or a replay, I want to welcome you also. I do want to let you know that I'm live streaming this event in a couple of places. Of course, it's also streaming right from 12radio.com, but you can also listen or watch, rather, if you head over to Katie Weaver Domestic Mystic on YouTube or on Facebook. I'm live streaming it from both places. I am also in the 12Radio chat room. You can find that by heading over to 12radio.com, clicking on the chat button, and you'll be redirected into the Facebook chat. So that's how to find it. And I would love to see you guys over in the chat. You can see my banner at the top of the page. That's where we'll be talking. However, I am also keeping an eye on the chat streams from both places that the show is live streaming. So comment in any of those places, and I should see it and be able to interact with you. So that's what's going on. I'm going to jump into the chat room here quickly. Oh my gosh, this is an interesting energy, isn't it? We're going to talk a lot about it because I know you guys are all going through various levels of what the hell. And so we're going to work on it together, I promise. It's also the show closest to the full moon, so we're going to do Fairy Tale Tarot today. I already have our card pulled and queued up and ready, so I'm super excited for that. Oh my God. It's been a week and it's only Tuesday. It's not bad, right? It just is what it is. I just feel like we're in this weird recalibration state, and I'll talk about it. I wrote an article about it for Luminous, so we'll get there. But I have some show and tell. So I'm going to throw some pictures in the chat room first so that you guys don't feel like there is any kind of, you're not getting left out. So the chat room will stop moving for a minute. I'll post a couple of pictures in here for you. I have been in the resin studio quite a bit this last week. I shared you guys a tray last week that was a special order, that was a gift, but I've made a couple of more trays and some little light up love signs that are really cute. So I'm going to share those with you. Sorry, Facebook makes everything just, I don't know, a little bit challenging. All right, last picture posted. Okay, let me jump back into the live stream, and I have stuff to show you. So I'm going to show you my little light up love signs first. All right, so this one is magenta on top and rose petals in clear resin on bottom, and it lights up and says love. Isn't that cute? I love these. Ironic. Anyway, I love it. These are going to go into my Joyful Goddess Etsy store here in a day or two when I am at that point in my process. And then I did another one. Some of you will appreciate this. Some of you might not. That's okay. This one is lime green on bottom, and it has green on top that is glitter. And you probably won't be able to see it closely enough, but the glitter are little tiny pot leaves. So people that, like the green will love this one. If you don't, you won't. That's okay too. But I think this one's super cute as well. So, and more of these coming because, it's Valentine's Day. I'm loving them. All right. And then the trays. So the first tray, this is a smaller one. It will have handles on it, but it doesn't have them yet. They're silver. And so there's a river in the center of it of assorted colored chip of stones. And then the colors, there is, of course, silver flake and then turquoise and a pearly white. Isn't this pretty? So I've been making these trays for people to put their cosmetics on, their jewelry, their crystals, magical stuff, whatever. But I really, really like the colors in this tray and the way it turned out. And then the other one is a larger one. You can see the size difference. It's quite a bit bigger. And it has a river of rose quartz stones through the center of it. And then it has gold flake and pink mica and rose gold mica in it. And it has gold handles. And again, somebody would use this for whatever. You could put it on your coffee table to, put things on. You could put it somewhere in the, on for your cosmetics, for your jewelry, for your crystals, whatever. You could use it for a million things. You can use them for food too. This brand of resin is considered to be non-toxic, but resin is toxic in the pouring stages. And so I always recommend if you're going to use it for food that you just put a little napkin or parchment paper or something between the actual food and the resin just to be safe. But anyway, that's some of the stuff I have been working on. I'm actually just in love with every bit of it. And as soon as it's completely done hardening, these are actually still a tiny bit pliable. As soon as they're completely done hardening and they have handles, they'll get photographed and go on to Etsy. So, yes. Lillian wants to know, how do you get to my Etsy store? I will give you a link. Oh my goodness. I don't know what that was. Something enormous just flew past my office window. Like maybe a hawk? A really big bird with a big wingspan. Sorry, that grabbed my attention. Etsy store. I'm going there now. Anyway, that's the stuff I've been into. I bought a new respirator because resin is a little bit hard on the lungs. And and it has like glasses and all full PPE. I got to tell you, I love it. I just feel like I'm in my little cocoon in that, and I can spend hours in my resin studio working with that on and feeling like I'm totally safe. Okay, I posted a link to my Etsy store in case you're interested in checking it out. None of that stuff is there yet, but it will be here in a few days. Okay. I also today am finishing a moon stage sun. Wow, where am I? Moon stage sun catcher that is really pretty, and I cannot wait to get it done and see how much I love it. I might have to keep it or make myself one, but that's going to go on Etsy too. Anyway, this is my creative process. It's just something that I need to really get focused on what is important to me. This is moving meditation stuff for me, the creative process. And with resin, it's interesting. You'll pour plenty of things. I have a big box of rejects, stuff that I poured that aren't really, definitely not going to sell them. Not really sure what I'll do with them now. I've thrown away a few things that were really just total fails. But some other things are just, I don't know, they just exist. I don't know what I'll ever do with them. But anyway, that's part of my process and just what I'm working on. It is how it is. When you first start resin, you'll ruin a ton of things before you really figure it out because it takes a little time. Cherry, I do take questions. I will do questions later on in the show for sure. Yep. Oh, Pamela said we need a picture of you wearing your respirator. Oh, I have one. It is not cute. I actually posted it on Facebook the other day. Yeah, it scares the dogs. They do not want to see me wearing that. They have no patience for this. It totally freaks them out. But but it's good for me. I also have gotten smart about getting my hair pulled up when I pour because, believe it or not, I have gotten resin in my hair a couple of times, and there is only one cure for that. Scissors. Yep, it sucks. But if you do that, there's nothing else you can do besides cut it out. You want to get that part out before it mixes up with a whole bunch more of your hair. But once resin is mixed, the two parts of it, it is going to cure, even if it is in your hair. So I've gotten better about that part too, because having to cut resin out of your hair really sucks. Okay. All right. I just put a picture in the respirator in the chat room. I'll post it here in on the live stream too. I have not been as good about PPE as I should be. It is really oh, I don't know what's the right. Well, it is really toxic, but it seems like it isn't because you buy the low Vox stuff and it doesn't necessarily smell like anything, and you might forget that this is some toxic stuff. There we go. You might forget how toxic it is. And I honestly didn't know when I first started pouring resin how toxic it was. And I really had to, after doing some research and joining some resin groups and hearing some horror stories from other people, I realized that I was taking my own health for granted and was being stupid. And so I really had to reevaluate how I was doing things. Like, for example, if I wasn't wearing gloves, if I got it on my skin, I just wash it off with alcohol wipes and keep going. And no, that's also really bad for you. So I've gotten a lot more careful about how I do things because, I want to be able to continue to do resin and I sure don't want to make myself sick. So you just have to, be smart and safe no matter what. All righty. Well, let's see. Let's take a look at Luminous and then we'll move on from there. So, as you know, I publish a magazine every Tuesday with some help from my friends called Luminous Magazine. If you're on my mailing list, you've already received it. If you're not, head over to katie-weaver.com and there is a pop up there that you put your info into, and I will send you my magazine every single week and I will send you my daily reading. So you'll get emails, 8 emails a week from me. I promise I will never abuse your email or share it with anyone else. It's just for my purposes only. But that daily morning reading has gotten to be really popular, and a lot of people love that and benefit from it. So if you're not receiving that, go to katie-weaver.com and subscribe. JR says, sounds dangerous. It can be because when the two parts are mixed, when they start to harden together, it creates an enormous amount of heat and it can burn the hell out of you. Yeah. Yep. Definitely definitely an art form that requires some respect. Yeah. Yes, thank you, Lillian. Very attractive. Right? For sure. All right. Let's take a quick look at Luminous. I loved all the hearts and lights this week. I know that some people bristle at Valentine's Day because it's a Hallmark holiday and because it makes single people feel shitty. And I don't want it to make single people feel shitty, but I love Valentine's Day. Not really for the romance part of it, just for the loving everybody part of it. When I was a kid, it wasn't about romance at all. My parents celebrated Valentine's Day as a love your neighbor, love your family kind of holiday. And that's what it's always been for me. And so Valentine's Day lights up my life for that reason. So if it is a holiday that triggers you, I hope that my joy of it doesn't drag you down. I also hope I can help you reframe it into a day or a month of service and loving each other and kindness and doing good things for ourselves. All righty. I called the magazine this week the Recalibrating Edition. Why? Because we have had an enormous energy shift. And part of it is moving into the age of Aquarius. Part of it has been the Schumann resonance. Part of it has been the collective energy. Part of it has been other astrology. We've been in quite the roller coaster for the last little while. It's been so tough on the empaths. I feel like I've said that a lot the last while, but this has been really interesting because we're having like massive highs and massive lows. And so you just, we're seeing people that are like on the top of the world, feeling amazing, and then maybe getting dropped flat on their backs. That's kind of where we've been. I've seen a lot of empaths sick with various things, not COVID, but just, you know, getting colds, getting weird stuff. I went to the rheumatologist last week and I see her like every 6 months because I'm really stable. And I went to her last Wednesday and she did it like a basic physical exam and she said, "How long have you been sick?" And I said, "I'm sick." And she said, "Well, your glands are swollen, your throat's red, your ears are red, your sinuses are a little funny, and your lungs don't sound very good." She goes, You're sick." And I honestly didn't even know. Why didn't I know I was sick? That my body was obviously fighting something. I think it's because of the energetic roller coaster we were on that I kind of was just fending all of that off and didn't realize that my physical body was also going through it. Just such a weird thing. But anyway, yeah, so I've been sick for a few days. I know I am, like I'm feeling it in my body, and I have taken some extra rest time, but I haven't had a fever or been like, wildly sick. But anyway, it just made me laugh. She was really laughing. She's like, "Not very often that people come in here and I have to tell them they're sick." But I don't know. I'm too busy for this shit, right? No, mostly it's just been the energy has I've been more concerned with that than I was, I guess, about my physical body, but I'm still kind of cracking up about it. She thought it was pretty funny. She, did say, "If you continue to be unsick, you probably should let me know and we'll put you on an antibiotic." But I think I'm okay. Anyway, I have some thoughts for you about things to do if you are uncomfortable in your skin right now, as I know many of you are. You guys are just feeling really off and weird. And I know because I'm feeling it that way too. So here's some thoughts for you. Daily movement, gently, always. I will never come in here and tell you guys to exercise yourself to pieces for obvious reasons, mostly because I don't want you to hurt yourselves. Uh, and because I think that that's not what your body is asking for if you're asking for movement for your system, for your energy system, right? If you're somebody who does exercise like that and you want to go run a 5K, more power to you. But if you don't, right? I'm talking about some stretching, walking, dancing, swimming, yoga, tai chi, a little bit. Move your body, stretch it, give your body an opportunity to ground. Your spirit grounds into your body sometimes when you are out of your body. Movement will help you ground back in. But so will moving also helps to amp up the happy hormones in your brain. And when we're on an unstable energy grid like we are right now, that can be really helpful. Sound therapy. Singing bowls, we'll do that today. Drums, chimes, music, singing, chanting, your choice. Play with music. Play with all different kinds of music to find out what makes you feel better, what makes you feel worse, what drags you down, what lifts you up. What can you do with sound to help enhance you? If you have a singing bowl, great. But if you don't, there are lots of recordings of singing bowls out there that you could certainly be looking at, or listening to. If you have chimes, great. If you have other musical instruments that help you, great. But if you don't, go to YouTube. Somebody else has done it for you, I promise. But play with music and figure out what makes you feel good, what soothes you, what encourages you, what inspires you, and do that. Play that. Sound therapy is very powerful. Warm drinks. Why is it that drinking coffee, tea, other warm drinks, that is a well known, from time immemorial, humans have drank warm things. Now, obviously, we've also drank warm things to keep us healthy or to keep us warm in various climates. But I would propose that from an energetic place, warm drinks are a comfort for your soul. They are grounding, they're soothing, they are nurturing. And a lot of times, reaching for a warm drink when you need some comfort is a great way to do it. So that's why a lot of us have, ungodly collections of tea that we practically never drink. Once in a blue moon, you reach for that one because that's when it feels right, right? So, whatever it is, when I was a kid, my mom would make a drink for us that she called sparky tea. It wasn't tea at all. But remember that I was raised in a religion that didn't believe in drinking coffee or tea, but there was still that warm drink aspect, right? So she used to make us a drink that her grandma had used to make for her. And Sparky tea was warm milk with a little bit of butter, like melted butter stirred in that melted, nutmeg, and sugar. Who the hell came up with this? I don't know, but her grandma used to make that for her when she was little. When we were little girls, my mom would make that for us, and we would beg for Sparky tea, and we'd all sit around the kitchen table drinking our Sparky tea and thinking we were so big, you know. And once in a blue moon, I actually kind of crave that. I don't know, so wild, but drinking warm drinks is a really good way to soothe yourself and to ground yourself. Working with your hands, whatever it is, cooking, crafting, drawing, playing with Play Doh, beading, gardening. It doesn't matter what it is, you know, finger painting, I don't care, but using your hands in some way is a really good way to fire up all three lower chakras and help you to bring yourself back into balance and ground into your body. It doesn't have to be something you keep or that you're proud of. It could easily be something that goes straight in the garbage can when you're done, you know? This is why Zen gardens are good too. Okay. Yeah. Denise says afternoon cup of tea daily. Why? Why is it in the afternoon by around 3 or 4 we are reaching for a warm drink? You also may be reaching for carbs. You might be reaching for a cigarette. You're reaching for something that grounds you. Why? Because as an empath, you are a bit of a loose wire, right? Like you are taking hits from the universe or from other people all the time. You're kind of a lightning rod that way. And by 3 or 4 o'clock, a lot of times our empaths are very ungrounded. They need to ground into their bodies and they will reach most of the time for some kind of physical gratification like that food, drink, or smoking, or something else. Evaluating that, knowing that about yourself can help you to make better choices about what you are choosing to put into your body. But knowing that a lot of times you're feeling out of sorts, you're feeling tired, you're feeling fried. It's especially prevalent for people who work in office buildings and work around a lot of other people, or not just office buildings, but in jobs that they're around a lot of other people. But that's very common around 3 or 4 that we see the empaths, they're done. And you end up having to reach for something to get you through the day, right? Doesn't mean don't do it. I just want you to understand why you're doing it. All right. And laughter. The action of laughing has huge therapeutic benefits. There's a whole study of yoga that's actually dedicated to laughter yoga. I don't know if you guys have ever done it. I personally hated it. I don't know. It just felt so, I don't know, stiff to me, but I know people that really love it. So if you like laughter yoga, more power to you. But lots of ways to laugh, right? Comedy, books, funny movies, calling a fun friend for a good chat or having coffee with a friend, something like that. But spending time talking or to people that make you laugh or just listening to podcasts, there's lots of ways to laugh, you know. But at any rate, this is something that you may benefit from if you are feeling weird and out of your body, is finding a reason and a way to laugh every day. So those were a few thoughts from me. I'd be curious to know what else you guys are employing to comfort yourselves and feel better in weird energetic times. The only thing I didn't put on this list that I wish I had was citrus oils. Bergamot is a mood stabilizer. Grapefruit does a good job that way. Tangerine does a good job that way. Really anything in the citrus family that you love. Bergamot's the superstar of mood stabilization, but any citrus oil would do a good job as well. All righty. Miss Kelly took a week off of Luminous, a week off of Bitch Scopes this week, actually, because she's tired. And she said to me, I don't think I'm going to get these scopes done. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I'm tired. And I said, it's okay to practice what you preach and take a week off and rest. And she went, yeah, it is. By God, I'm doing it. So she did. And I'm proud of her. So I posted 3 of her favorite, time-based sessions and email-based sessions from One to Listen instead, and she'll be back next week, but for this week, she's laying on the couch feeding herself grapes. We all know that's not true. She's running around behind cats, putting out fires. But I'm glad she got the rest and the break. It's always good to take that when you need it, for sure. Okay, my tip this week was how to make homemade rose water. We've talked about rose water quite a bit, and you can certainly purchase. There's a lot of good rose water out there. My brand of choice is Jade Bloom's Rose Hydrosol. It's awesome. But rose water is a powerful tool. It is a very high vibrating oil. Roses are a very high vibrating flower. And so when we're using rose oil or rose hydrosol, rose water, wherever you use it, it helps to raise the frequency. Some people also believe that roses are the scent of the angels, that they smell roses when angels are near, and vice versa. So, how do you make rose water? I mean, you can certainly purchase rose hydrosol. What rose hydrosol is the product of making rose essential oil. So, when they make essential oils by steam, and almost all essential oils are created through a steam hydrolysis system because if they're made through they can make them other ways. It used to be that more essential oils were actually made by solvents, by soaking plants in solvents, and the oils would float to the top. But since everybody wants to put essential oils in and on their bodies these days, we don't want that. We want the steam distilled method. So they take the plant part and it goes kind of in this big double boiler thing. And then they boil water underneath it. And then the plant starts to sweat, or the rose petals or whatever they are, and it starts to release water. And the water then there's this whole piping system that has to be kept cold. Next time Scott distills something, I'll take a video and show you guys. But we have a small scale still. But anyway, that is treated with cold water that runs on the outside of it to force the condensation to run up through the tubes and out through, and drip out. And what you get from that are two things. You get the essential oil that floats on top, and you get the hydrosol that is the water that forms in the bottom. And that's how it's done. So rose hydrosol is created through the process of making essential oils. But you don't have to do it that way. You can make your own, and it's not hard. Just whenever you make anything with flowers, a syrup, a hydrosol, a floral water or anything, be absolutely certain that you're using organic flowers. And you can order organic rose petals, rose buds on Amazon. Mountain Rose Herbs is my favorite source for this kind of stuff. So you'd take 8 ounces of water and a half a cup of dried organic rose petals. If you're using fresh, use a whole cup. Bring them to a boil and simmer on low for 30 minutes, and then cool and strain. And then you can store that in the fridge in an airtight jar. It will mold eventually, so it needs to be stored in the fridge and it needs to be used. If you want to preserve it, you can put a bit of vodka or witch hazel in it to help preserve it and keep it fresh longer. But that's how you do it. I've done this lots of times and made beautiful waters this way. And you can do this with other flowers too, of course. I did it once with crabapple petals. I have this gorgeous crabapple tree, and when it blooms in the spring, it smells amazing, but it doesn't, the apples it puts on are these little tiny things that, the pigs love, but that's about it. And so I'm not really caring so much about the fruit it puts on. So sometimes I'll strip some of the petals off and make a hydrosol or make a water out of them, and they smell amazing. But that's how you do it. Okay. Caroline's column this week talking about what makes people lie. Very interesting, going back to childhood and where it starts. On that note, if you have never watched the movie The Invention of Lying, I highly recommend that you do. All right. I think that's all I need to share. There's lots more in Luminous this week, so be sure that you take a look and see what jumps out at you. I did post our cases this week for True Crime Paranormal. We have two really important cases this week. Uh, and True Crime Paranormal is the YouTube and podcast that I have with Christy. And we are covering this year, we have made a commitment to cover as many missing and murdered Indigenous women cases as we can. And so, our missing and murdered Indigenous woman case this week is the murder of Savannah Graywind. Her murder actually triggered the passing of a bill called Savannah's Act that is making it easier for Indigenous police officers, tribes to get access to federal help. And then an additional act as well was signed that is helping our police officers or creating more of a federal database so that these crimes are being shared more widely and linked together. None of that has been happening. So the Savannah's Act case is very interesting because it really helps you understand where some of the holes in our criminal justice system have been, why the murders and missing abductions and violence against Indigenous women has gotten to be so prevalent, and why it's not being brought to justice, and of course her case as well. We also covered a very famous case called, this was the case of Adnan Syed and Heymin Lee. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It was a teenage couple that were in love. Their parents made them break up. There was a murder. It's really sad, and ended up, we believe, with the wrong person in prison. So we covered that case and did a psychic reading on it. So that's what's going on. We have another case breaking in the morning too that is a true paranormal case that is really wild. So that's what's going on. That's what I have to share as far as true crime paranormal and as far as Luminous. So that's all I'll get into on Luminous this week. But definitely take a look, read through and read the articles, watch the videos. I hope you enjoy it. All right, let's move on. It is time for Fairy Tale Tarot. All right. So, Fairy Tale Tarot is something we do here on the Katie Weaver Show right around the time of the full moon every month. So, we're a couple of days out from the full moon. So, here we are. So, every month we pull a card from the Fairy Tale Tarot. We read the story from the fairy tale book and we evaluate it. So, I already pulled the card, and the question I was asking is, what do we need to know through the next full moon cycle? So, and of course, it's a collective reading. So, I'm going to read the story and we'll move on from there. So, first, I'll show you the card. It's the Two of Wands. You can see it is a hollowed out tree trunk, and there are two mice. Let's see. There's one of the mice is holding what looks like a wand or a stick and a sunflower. The male mouse has a walking stick, cane thing. He has on a top hat. There's some kind of there's something at his feet, some black. I'm not really sure what that is. I'm sure we'll get it in the author interpretation. There's mushrooms. There's a blossoming pot. Looks like it has a rose in it. There is a face in the side of the tree as well. You guys can see that. So that's what the card looks like. I probably missed some symbolism. Oh, there are some acorns and some poppies. Always a lot of symbolism on the cards. Some of it I usually miss, but okay. So let's take a look. So the story is City Mouse, Country Mouse. This is a Romanian tale. The key words are seeing past illusions and choices. All righty. Once upon a time, there was a mouse who invited her old friend from the city to come out to the country. The country mouse spent the entire day in preparation for the visit. She scrubbed her treehouse from top to bottom and picked the choicest nasturtiums, wheat stalks, and roots for dinner. When the city mouse arrived, he was bewildered. My, this is quite a long way out. How do you manage with so few conveniences at your disposal? He asked. The country mouse took the city mouse's fine hat and coat and showed him around. The country mouse was proud to escort her friend through the natural beauty of her surroundings. But the city mouse began to complain about the dullness of country life as he reflected on the grandness of the city. This is all rather peaceful, but I'm sure you would enjoy yourself much more in the exciting city, the mouse postured. They returned indoors, and the city mouse was seated at a table. It was set simply with the country mouse's finest place settings made from found objects. In the city mouse went on, food is served on the finest china imported from far reaches of the world. The country mouse brought out platters of freshly picked vegetables, but instead of graciously receiving the offerings, the city mouse picked at his plate and grimaced with each bite. You must try the gourmet foods from the city. They are far tastier than anything you could possibly gather here, snorted the city mouse. I already want to pinch him. The country mouse, was beginning to get annoyed with her friend's ungracious comparisons, but decided it was easier to listen and sip her herbal tea than create a rift in their friendship. The city mouse finally came up with an idea. I think you need to be exposed to a little luxury, he suggested enthusiastically. Why don't you accompany me back to my city home, where you can experience all of the wonderful delights that I speak of? The country mouse was intrigued by the thought of an exciting holiday to a place unknown to her. So the next morning, the two set upon their journey. At first, the country mouse was entranced by the buzzing excitement. There was noise in every corner, and delectable smells drifted from the various vendors that lined the streets. There were grand buildings that seemed to reach for the sky, and lovely decorations that adorned store windows. After some sightseeing, the city mouse suggested that they retreat to his lavish home. They entered an opulent house that had pillars, stained glass windows, and beautiful tapestries of all kinds hanging from the walls. The city mouse seated his friend on a little Parisian rug in the corner of a room. Then City Mouse scurried up to a banquet table and began retrieving morsels of luxurious leftovers. He brought various goodies to the rug and gathered a mouth-watering feast. They were about to dive in to the meal when the door suddenly swung open. The city mouse instructed the country mouse to run and hide. They shivered with fear as large footsteps came dangerously close to their little bodies, but they held their breaths until the coast was clear. The city mouse resumed his pompous airs and continued as though nothing had happened. But after the second intrusion, the country mouse turned to her friend and thanked him for his hospitality before bidding him farewell. I cannot stay here a minute longer, my dear, she said. As she was making her exit, she told the city mouse, I would much rather live a peaceful, simple life in the country than an exciting, dangerous one in the city. All right, of symbols and meaning. The country mouse is resourceful. She wears an apron, symbolic of hard work. Miss the apron. An orange shawl, a color suggesting industry and fruitfulness. Her basket is associated with offerings and hospitality. Her appearance juxtaposes the gray coat wearing city slicker mouse. He wears a top hat, associated with lofty pretensions. His black bag is suggestive of secrets and restraint. The yellow daisy is an offering of friendship. The oak tree is sturdy and strong, symbolic of a well grounded life. The faces within the tree are aspects of the collective unconsciousness. The three acorns represent fecundity. The dead leaves carpet the ground with insulation. The mushrooms suggest the fairy realm. The crystal topped wand provides clarity and truth. So the author says what may seem like a good idea initially may turn out to be a bad experience. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Be careful how you direct your energies and make thoughtful choices. Okay, so how does this apply to us? I think in various ways, but I'm looking at it from the state of how does this affect us for the next couple of weeks? I feel like one big warning we can take from that is to be really careful about your choices, right? Be careful about who you're spending your time with, whose energy or who you're giving your energy to. Realize the grass may not always be greener. I think that's important too. Um, if you are thinking right now about changing jobs or moving or making a drastic change, I would just be absolutely certain that you're not pushing something too hard that maybe isn't meant to be. I would say that during this 2-week cycle that this is a good time to really evaluate where you are and what you have and what you need to thrive and to be happy, but don't force anything too hard. I feel like that may be the mistake, right? Sometimes the path of least resistance really is the best one. And I think in this instance, we might really find that. So, again, be very aware of who's getting your energy, how much time you're willing to put into that or that situation, in general, where your time is going, and just be careful about your choices. Be very thoughtful. Don't do anything too fast. This is a week, the next 2 weeks, I could definitely see some buyer's remorse. So be sure that you really want what you're getting. Be sure that you're really giving yourself ample time to make good decisions and don't get swayed by new paint. I was raised by farmers, kind of. My dad was a farmer, my grandparents were farmers. That was a conversation that was always had. New paint. The farmers that always had to have the new paint. They had to have the brand new tractor. They had to have the brand new combine. They had to have all the brand new pickups. And it wasn't always in their best interest. It kind of, in the farming community, had turned into a bit of a, one upping your neighbor or competing with the Joneses. And my grandpa always used to talk about being careful about always needing new paint. And, whether you really needed it or not, this is a good warning for all of us, I think. Okay, so there you have it. If you guys have any thoughts that you want to add to that, I would love it. That might be one of the most wholesome fairy tales we have read. Some of them are so creepy, with guys sneaking into places they shouldn't be, putting trances on women, you know, so on and so forth. Damsels in distress, all of that. Uh, Not this one in any way. I really loved it, actually. Quelly said, "You're the best reader. Reminds me of when I was in preschool, listening to my teacher. You take us away with your voice and stories." I love you. Do you know why? It's because I am a preschool teacher by trade. My second degree is in early childhood education. I have read many a story in my day, made up a lot too. Okay. Yeah, most of them are creepy, Lillian. I'm really trying. I get it. They are. I know. It cracks me up that we all, listened to all of these as kids and thought that was normal. Okay. Let's move on to a little singing bowl work. I brought my sacral chakra bowl. This bowl is in the note of D. I felt like one of the things we could use some help with right now in lower chakra work is just really waking up, expanding, and enlivening. How's that? The sacral, that place of creativity and that place of joy. So I'm going to play the bowl twice. The first time we play the bowl, You are going to just, I'd like you to hold space with the bowl and just hold space that the bowl, the frequency of this bowl will help to clear out anything in your sacral that you no longer need. So we'll do that first. Be aware it is loud. Good. Okay. And now I'm going to play it again. This time we're going to allow the frequency of the bowl to bring your sacral chakra into perfect balance, really waking up your places of joy and of creativity. Perfect. Okay. I know this first one you could barely hear. You know why? I realized partway through that I sang it. I usually chime the bowls on the air, and for some reason I sang this one. I startled myself. I don't know why I did that. The frequencies, I'm sure, work their way through just the same, but I did. I sang that bowl. It is a beautiful singer. I just usually just chime it because it has such a great resonation. Okay, that's good. So do something creative today, will you please? Doesn't have to be fancy. All right. Let's take a look in the chat rooms here and get a few readings out. Okay, Tiffany is in the hospital. Okay. Oh, yikes. Okay. We're going to do a bunch of work on your behalf. Let's everyone please join me in holding space for Tiffany. She's got something going on here. So, okay, we're going to hold space for you that you get feeling better soon and that your medical team figures it out quickly and gets you back on top. All right. All right. Much love to you, girl. I'm sorry you're struggling, dang it. Okay. All right. Kylie said, if time allows, I would love a reading from Grandpa. Also, do you see me and my brother reuniting soon? You know what, Kylie? I think what we should do is ask Grandpa to help make that happen. I know you're missing your brother and just missing all of this stuff, and so I'm going to just call your grandpa in. Yep. And ask him to get busy on that front, bring you that support. He says he sure misses his Kylie girl. She's such a sweetheart. Yeah. So I'm asking him to help him you and your brother reunite and pull back together here, and he says he would, be honored to do that. So we're gonna get him on that job and see if we can help, get you guys together. He wants you to know too, Kylie, that he's very aware of your grief, and he's doing what he can to help support you too. I asked him to come see you in a dream. I thought maybe that would help. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Sid said, "Can you tell me what the heck I did with my brand new comfort hug shawl? I'm afraid it got thrown away. I was brain fogged when it came and didn't even feel like it completely got removed from its shipping bag. It's driving me crazy." I do not see it in your house, Sid. I don't. I'm also wondering if it got thrown away. I'm not seeing it. Hope you find it though. I'm gonna hold space that you will. Yeah. Okay. Mary said, "You totally have a teacher's way of reading." I know. I know. Get it from my mom. Okay. Sean said, "I started a new job in September. I'm struggling with confidence speaking up. This job does require me to have a voice. Any messages from spirit to help me be successful?" Let's ask, and let's also really get that throat opened up. There is like an ancestral DNA vibe in you to keep your mouth shut and your head down and do your work. At some point, we might wanna do that whole, switch, you know? I don't know. I definitely don't have time to do it on the air, but at some point, we probably ought to do the DNA healing to help get rid of that block. But I did open up your throat a lot more, and Spirit recommended that you channel. Interesting because I'm looking at the DNA blocks there, but Spirit's also saying channel some of your ancestors, some of your grandmas who had no problem speaking their truth, at least to you. Yeah, right? So it looks to me like it's all in the ancestry. You might also put a little lemongrass oil on your throat that helps to keep it open. Carry a blue stone like a kyanite or a blue lace agate, something like that that helps support your throat chakra. And call in the loudest grandma you can think of and let her help empower that voice. And at some point, maybe we consider doing the DNA work too. Okay. Thank you, Abby. Okay. Lillian said, "I just took her back to Mrs. Pigglewiggle." Yes. Do you guys remember the Magic School Bus books? Some of you will, some of you won't. They were so much fun. I could have read those forever and ever. Abby said, "I had the nerves burned in my back yesterday, and I'm sick of struggling with pain and anxiety and depression and making it worse. Any pain or any messages from spirit?" Oh, Abby, I really hope that helps. Those ablations sometimes make a huge difference, don't they? So, or an RFI, maybe it's an RFI. Uh, I'm going to hold space that it makes a huge difference for you. Let's tune in on that. I'm just asking your angels and guides to really support that work. One thing I'm hearing is that because it's counterintuitive to your body, that your body ends up fighting against it before it really gets to work. So I'm going to ask your body to set it up, and recognize that it's actually healing and helping work and really wrap around it, and let it be healing and helping work rather than fighting against it because, it didn't like getting burned. We're going to ask those nerves to settle the hell down. All right. I feel like you're going to get some relief here. It's going to get a little worse before it gets better, but I think you are going to get some relief, Abby, and that it's going to give you some space to start thinking about what do you like? What do you want to do? What would feel better for you right now? You know, you don't always get to be in that space because you're so busy being in pain. And I understand that. I do. But I'm going to highly recommend that as the pain gets better, that you really start focusing on some things that are things that you'd like to do and maybe make some plans, have some things to look forward to. It's your turn, isn't it? All right, you guys, we've done what we do. We've talked down to the end of the show. I want to let you know that I will be over on one2listen.com for the rest of the day and evening. I'm a professional psychic advisor there and do readings, healings, cheerleading, whatever you need. And of course, I will be back on Thursday morning for Read Me with Katie and Kelly at 10 a.m. We will be taking callers and doing a whole reading show. So come over there and have a reading with us as well. And as always, take care of yourselves. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. You have been listening to The Katie Weaver Show here on 1 2 Radio, where we're changing the way you listen to the world.